The first time the weather station predicted my future, I assumed someone at the National Weather Service had uploaded the wrong data. Looking back now, I wish that had been the worst explanation, because bad software can be fixed. Corrupted satellites can be replaced. What I found in the Brooks Range can't. If anyone listening works in environmental monitoring, remote communications, or seasonal maintenance, there are still weather stations in northern Alaska marked as inactive. If your company ever offers you Station K-17 during the winter season, tell them no. Don't negotiate. Don't ask why the pay is almost triple every other assignment. Just refuse the contract. I didn't. 3 years ago, I was desperate enough to take almost any job. My father had died 6 months earlier. Not suddenly. Cancer. The kind that dragged a family through every dollar they've saved before finally taking the person anyway. After funeral expenses, hospital bills, and selling his house just to cover debt, I was left with exactly $1,200 in my checking account. I've been repairing environmental monitoring equipment for nearly 8 years. Weather stations, snow gauges, avalanche sensors, river monitoring systems. It wasn't glamorous work. Mostly replacing batteries, swapping damaged instruments, recalibrating sensors after storms, and hiking miles into places tourists never saw. Most contracts lasted a week. Some lasted a month. The Alaska assignment was supposed to last 92 days. The recruiter actually laughed when I asked why they were paying nearly 3 times the normal rate. Nobody likes winter maintenance. That sounded reasonable. People hate cold. People hate isolation. People especially hate both together. So I signed. 2 weeks later, I was flying into Fairbanks with enough cold weather gear to survive temperatures I'd only ever read about. Orientation lasted less than 2 hours. Most of it covered frostbite, bare procedures, satellite radios, emergency shelters, everything you'd expect. Then our supervisor, an older technician named Carl Jensen, handed each of us a maintenance schedule. 23 stations, spread across nearly 400 square miles. Each station needed inspection every 6 days. Except one, Station K-17. Next to its number, someone had handwritten a note. Service only if contacted. That seemed backwards. Remote stations usually contacted us because something had failed. I asked Carl why K-17 wasn't part of the normal route. He looked at the paper for a second longer than necessary. It usually fixes itself. Someone behind me laughed. Carl didn't. The room became strangely quiet. Then he collected everyone's paperwork and moved to the next topic. I figured I'd asked a stupid question. By the end of my first week, I'd already forgotten about K-17. The work itself was exactly what I'd expected. Long drives across frozen service roads. Snowmobiles when the roads disappeared. Then hiking the remaining distance, carrying 30-pound equipment cases. Most stations sat on exposed ridges where wind never seemed to stop. Metal towers no taller than 15 feet. Solar panels buried beneath snow. Small instrument boxes humming quietly beneath layers of frost. Routine. Predictable. Lonely. Some days I didn't see another human being for 12 hours. Oddly enough, I started enjoying it. There was something peaceful about repairing equipment while the entire world remained silent, except for the wind. No traffic, no phones, no cities, just white mountains stretching forever beneath gray skies. The first strange thing happened on my 9th day. I arrived at Station K-12 shortly after sunrise. Its battery system had failed. Simple repair. I unlocked the instrument cabinet and plugged my maintenance tablet into the station's diagnostic port. Normally, the software downloaded weather history, temperature, humidity, wind speed, pressure. Instead, a new file appeared. Transfer from K-17. I frowned. Stations weren't connected directly. They uploaded through satellite networks. Cross-transfers weren't possible. Assuming it was corrupted data, I opened the file. Instead of weather observations, there was a maintenance log. Date, January 18th. The problem was, today was January 17th. The entry read, technician arrived 43 minutes late because snow bridge collapsed over Willow Creek. I stopped reading. Willow Creek. I was scheduled to cross it tomorrow morning. More importantly, there hadn't been any bridge collapse. Yet, I actually laughed to myself. Somebody must have entered tomorrow's inspection date by accident. It wasn't impossible. People made mistakes. I deleted the file and finished replacing the batteries. The next morning, at exactly 8:14, the snow bridge over Willow Creek collapsed beneath my snowmobile. I survived, mostly because I'd slowed down to answer a satellite phone call just before crossing. If I maintained speed, the machine would have gone straight through the ice. Standing there beside freezing water, I suddenly remembered the maintenance log. 43 minutes late. I checked my watch. Because of the phone call, I was exactly 43 minutes behind schedule. That should have been enough to make me leave Alaska. Instead, I convinced myself it was coincidence. Coincidences are comfortable. They let you keep believing the world works the way it always has. 3 days later, Station K-17 contacted me. Not dispatch, not headquarters, the station itself. And the message wasn't asking for repairs. It simply said, "You are late." The screen stayed lit for several seconds. "You are late." Nothing else. No error code. No maintenance request. No system warning. Just those 3 words in plain black text against a gray background. I tapped the screen twice, thinking the software had frozen. The message disappeared. The station returned to its normal diagnostics, as if nothing had happened. I checked the event log. Nothing. No incoming transmission. No recent activity. According to the system, K-17 hadn't communicated with anyone in over 8 months. I stared at the screen for another minute before disconnecting my tablet. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I asked dispatch about K-17. The dispatcher was a woman named Heather. I'd spoken to her almost every evening for routine check-ins. "Station K-17, I said. "When was the last time somebody serviced it?" Silence. Paper shuffled somewhere on her desk. "About 9 months ago." "Who went?" Another pause. "I'll have to look that up." I heard a keyboard clicking. Then, nothing. Almost 30 seconds passed. "Heather, I'm here." "So, the file doesn't list a technician." "What do you mean?" "It says maintenance completed successfully, but there's no employee attached to the report." "That's weird." She sounded genuinely confused. "I'll ask archives." "Thanks." The call ended. That should have been the end of it. Except the rest of the week refused to stay normal. Station K-08 reported snowfall exactly 12 hours before the storm reached it. Station K-14 logged temperatures that hadn't happened yet. K-03 transmitted wind speeds, matching forecasts almost to the minute before the weather actually changed. At first I blamed synchronization issues. Maybe satellite clocks were off. Maybe someone had configured the network incorrectly. Then I noticed something. Every impossible reading had one thing in common. Each one listed K-17 as its source. That wasn't possible. Weather stations don't override each other. They collect their own observations. I spent an entire evening downloading raw telemetry. By midnight, I had nearly 3,000 lines of data spread across my laptop. Pressure, temperature, humidity, solar radiation, nothing unusual, until I sorted everything by timestamp. K-17's data was always exactly 24 hours ahead. Not approximately. Exactly. Down to the second. I spent another hour trying to prove myself wrong. Maybe the internal clock was set incorrectly. It wasn't. Maybe UTC conversion errors. No. Daylight savings? Impossible. Alaska wasn't even using the same offsets. The numbers refused to make sense. Every forecast K-17 produced became reality exactly 1 day later. Not one failed. Not one. On the 15th day of my contract, headquarters called. Not dispatch. Headquarters. A man introduced himself as Martin Rhodes from Regional Operations. His first question wasn't about equipment. It was about me. "How are you sleeping?" I laughed. "Fine. You sure?" "Yeah." "You haven't noticed anything unusual?" I hesitated. There it was. He'd asked too carefully. What kind of unusual? Another pause. Forget I asked. He changed the subject immediately. Asked about batteries, fuel consumption, snow accumulation, routine things. But before ending the call, he quietly added, "If K-17 contacts you, don't answer with the maintenance terminal." The line disconnected before I could ask why. That night, I barely slept. Around 3 in the morning, I woke to my satellite phone vibrating beside my bed. No ringtone, just vibration. The display showed no incoming number. Only one line. Weather update available. I frowned. Satellite phones didn't receive weather notifications. I accepted it anyway. Static, then a voice. Mail. Calm. Almost bored. Visibility tomorrow morning will be poor. I sat upright. Who is this? You'll miss the avalanche if you leave at 6. Cold spread through my chest. No official forecast had mentioned avalanche conditions. You have the wrong number. No. The voice sounded disappointed. I've been waiting for you. The call ended. I checked the number. Nothing. No history. No log. The phone acted as though it had never rung. By sunrise, I had almost convinced myself I dreamed it. Then I walked outside. The mountains were hidden beneath fresh cloud. Visibility had dropped to less than 100 yards. Dispatch issued an avalanche warning exactly 45 minutes later. The same one the caller had already described. I canceled my morning route. Another crew ignored the warning. One of their snowmobiles disappeared beneath a slide 20 minutes later. The operator survived. Barely. That evening, Heather called me instead of the other way around. I found a maintenance record. 4K17. Yeah, sort of. What does that mean? The employee file finally loaded. I waited. It says the technician was. She stopped speaking. Heather, it's strange. What? The technician's name is yours. I laughed automatically. Nice joke. I'm serious. The record says Daniel Walker, Service K. 17 9 months ago. I wasn't even in Alaska 9 months ago. I know. I checked your employment history. Neither of us spoke. Finally, she whispered, I don't think you should go near that station. The phone crackled. Her voice cut out. Then someone else spoke. It sounded exactly like me. She's right. You should have come sooner. The line went dead. I looked at the dark screen of the satellite phone. My reflection stared back at me. For just an instant, it smiled before I did. I dropped the satellite phone onto the table, hard enough that the battery cover popped loose. For a second, I just stood there, staring at it. I kept telling myself it had been a trick of the light. Fatigue. I've been sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night for 2 weeks. Your brain starts inventing things when you're exhausted. At least that's what I wanted to believe. The next morning, I drove straight to regional headquarters instead of my assigned route. The operations office wasn't much more than a collection of trailers surrounded by maintenance garages. Most of the technicians were already loading equipment. Nobody looked particularly happy to be working in 20 below zero. I found Martin Rhodes in the communications trailer. He seemed surprised to see me. You weren't scheduled here. I need the maintenance history for K-17. His expression changed immediately. Not fear, annoyance. Like I'd asked about something everyone had agreed not to mention. We already have those records. I've seen them. They don't make sense. They're not supposed to. That answer irritated me. I'm not asking for a ghost story. I'm asking why my employee ID appears on a report filed 9 months before I accepted this contract. Martin sighed. He closed the trailer door. Then he walked to an old filing cabinet in the corner. Not a computer, not a server. Paper files. He unlocked the bottom drawer. Most folders were gray. One was red. He placed it on the desk between us. Across the front, someone had written, K-17. Nothing else. No government logo. No department stamp. Just those 4 characters. Inside were handwritten reports stretching back almost 30 years. Not digital printouts. Original notebooks. Field journals. Maintenance logs. Some pages were stained with mud. Others looked water damaged. The first few reports were completely ordinary. Battery replacements. Frozen sensors. Wildlife damage. Routine maintenance. Then, about halfway through, the tone changed. One technician wrote, forecasts remain accurate beyond available satellite data. Another, station predicts equipment failures before inspection. Another, received transmission containing tomorrow's maintenance report. I turned another page. The handwriting became almost unreadable. Do not allow K-17 to learn your schedule. Another, it has started using my voice. Another, I resigned today. Below that sentence, someone else had written in different ink. Employee never submitted resignation. My heartbeat quickened. Every journal ended the same way. Abruptly. No conclusion. No final report. Just nothing. Where are these people now? I asked quietly. Martin stared out the trailer window. Retired? You don't believe that? No. Neither did I. I kept turning pages. Near the back of the folder, I found photographs. Station K-17. Exactly like every other weather station. Except the background changed in every picture. Different mountains, different valleys, different rivers. The station itself never moved. Everything around it did. I held 2 photographs side by side. Same station, same damage to one support leg, taken only 3 days apart. Yet one stood beside a frozen lake. The other overlooked a canyon. Martin noticed what I'd found. Every aerial survey places it somewhere else. What? We've mapped that valley 17 different times. It never agrees with the previous map. I laughed nervously. That's impossible. So, is tomorrow's weather arriving today? He had a point. When I finally stood to leave, Martin stopped me. Don't visit K-17. I wasn't planning to. He looked relieved. Then my radio crackled. Dispatch. Unit 12. We've received an emergency maintenance request from Station K-17. Martin closed his eyes, almost like he'd expected it. I picked up the radio. What failed? Heather answered. Nothing. What? The station says. She hesitated. It says it needs you. The trailer suddenly felt much colder. Martin reached over and switched my radio off. Ignore it. I can't. Why not? Because dispatch logged the request. So, if I ignore a priority maintenance order, they'll send someone else. Neither of us said another word. We both understood. If the station was calling for a technician, someone was eventually going to answer. Even if it wasn't me. I left headquarters an hour later. Not toward K-17, toward my assigned route. Or at least, that was the plan. Halfway through the drive, my truck's navigation screen froze. Every road disappeared. Only one route remained. A blinking blue line. Destination. K-17. I disconnected the GPS. The line stayed on the screen. I shut the truck off completely. Started again. The map reloaded. Still, only one destination existed. I switched to paper maps. Old-fashioned topographic sheets. The road toward K-17 wasn't even printed. According to the map, nothing existed there. No trail, no maintenance road, no weather station. Yet every work order insisted it had operated continuously since 1984. The contradiction should have stopped me. Instead, curiosity took over. I told myself I only wanted to verify the location. Nothing more. No inspection. No maintenance. Just confirmation. By late afternoon, I reached the last marked service road. Beyond that point, only untouched snow stretched across the valley. No tire tracks. No snowmobile paths. Nothing. Except one single line of footprints. Fresh. Heading north. I climbed out of the truck. The tracks weren't made by snow boots. They looked bare. Human feet. Walking across snow in 25 below zero. No signs of pain. No hesitation. Each print perfectly formed. Like whoever made them wasn't cold at all. Against every instinct, I followed them. For almost 40 minutes, the mountains gradually closed around me. Radio reception disappeared. GPS signal vanished. Even the satellite compass refused to stabilize. Then, I saw it. Station K-17, standing alone on a rocky ridge. Exactly like every photograph. Except for one thing. The station wasn't covered in snow. Everything around it lay buried beneath nearly 4 feet of fresh powder. The metal platform, the support poles, the instrument cabinet, perfectly dry.